Welcome to lesson 1.2 of Ecom Entrepreneurs Academy. This lesson is about mindset and motivation. And some of this stuff, before I get into this, is going to seem like fluff and it's going to seem somewhat unnecessary. And you may think that you don't necessarily need to watch this video or you don't need to listen to what I'm saying. But trust me, based on my experience, based on what I've seen with others, this is extremely important. And mindset has a lot to do with the level of success you can achieve with this business or with any business or with life even for that matter. Okay, the mindset has to be proper, it has to be correct, it has to be appropriate for, pursuing this business. And so we're going to get into some of the most important aspects of mindset so that you can prepare yourself as you begin this journey with this business. So the first thing is that obstacles and challenges are inevitable. Okay, they're going to come no matter what. This is, again, not a get rich quick scheme. This is not a scam. This is a legitimate, real business. And just like with any business, you are going to experience obstacles and challenges, no doubt. And so here's how you handle them. Here's some advice from myself on how you should handle them. Number one, attempt to solve it immediately. Okay, a lot of times when we're faced with an obstacle or a challenge or a problem, we tend to want to avoid it, right? I mean, you probably have experienced this just as I have many times. If there's something that you need to do at work, right, but it's a hard task or it's challenging or you need to figure something out to be able to get it done that you normally, you have to kind of go out of your way to do it. You kind of try to do other things, right? All of a sudden you're like, oh wait, I have to do this other thing. Oh, I have to do that other thing, right? But the thing is that when that obstacle arises, attempt to solve it immediately, okay? And if you need help, then ask for it. It's okay to ask for help, and that's what our private Facebook mastermind group is for. That's what, if you have any other connections that can help you solve any problem you're experiencing, ask them for help. So again, the first step is to attempt to solve it immediately yourself. And then if you realize as you're trying to solve the problem that you need help, then go ahead and ask for it. But the main takeaway, honestly, with any obstacle and challenge is do something. Don't just sit there and don't do nothing, okay? Do something. As long as you're doing something, you should be fine. And unfortunately, there are too many stories of people with this business and with overall, general business where just starting out, they experience a problem or an obstacle and they kind of just delay and procrastinate and they don't do anything about it and they fail, right? They don't succeed with that business, obviously, because they don't do anything, right? There's that fear of that obstacle standing in the way. How am I going to resolve this? How am I going to do this? I don't know how to. I've never done this before. Whatever that thought may be that's in your head, get that thought out and do something about the problem that you're facing. Okay, so that's number one. A few extra tips. First, don't be a perfectionist. Okay, and I can speak very, closely and very passionately about this. I, was a quote unquote perfectionist for the longest time, but don't do that. Okay, one of my mentors taught me that imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. Okay, so always remember that quote and that saying that, doing something imperfectly is better than not doing anything at all just because you're trying to make it perfect. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, here, keep moving forward. Okay, don't get stuck, especially on little things. And honestly, a lot of times when we're faced with obstacles and challenges or problems, we think that it's a big issue. But just like in marriage, where we think something is a big issue, 99% of the time it's not. Okay? And just because you think that it's a big issue or it's a big obstacle, that doesn't mean that, you should stop. Again, going back to the initial point, just keep moving forward, just keep doing something and taking action. Number three on this slide is this business is not linear. What that means is that, a lot of times we think in a linear fashion, meaning I have to do this thing before I can do that next thing. But that doesn't apply to this business. So, for example, you can actually set up your Amazon product listing before you even have your product. And that's actually what I'm going to show you how to do. Right? In the steps, once you actually place your mass production order, then there's some time you're waiting, and that's when you can actually set up your Amazon product listing following the strategies that I teach you, even though you don't have your product yet. Another example is that you can actually promote your product before it's on Amazon, and we see this a lot in the business, in a lot of online businesses where the product is in production or it's, getting ready to be sold, and they're doing pre-launch marketing, right? This, so companies are saying, hey, our product is coming out on this date if you want to pre-order, right? This happens all the time in many industries, of business. So a lot of these things you can, it's the general point here is that the business is not linear. Don't think that you have to, just because you're waiting for something that you can't do something else. Next is be confident in the decisions you make. Okay, don't second guess yourself. So, a lot of times there's doubt in our minds, especially in the first part of this process, which is product selection, right? Because there are so many options, whether we have 20 or 30 product opportunities that you may find, and you end up going with one, but then in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, well, what if I had done that other one? What if, maybe I should have looked at it more closely and, gone with the other product instead of the one I, decided to choose. But the thing is that once you make that decision, you got to go for it. You got to just go all in it and with it. Right? You have to be confident in the decisions you make. Don't second guess yourself because there's no point. Once you've made that decision, there's no going back. So there's no point of really worrying about it. Just try your best and dedicate all your effort and your energy to making that choice successful and making that decision that you made successful. Next is be consistent. This is extremely, extremely important because this is another thing that unfortunately leads people to failing in this business, and that is inconsistency. Okay, so 30 minutes of action every day is better than 5 hours of action on one day of the week. Okay, so my advice is to dedicate a specific time every single day, a specific time and amount of time, meaning that, from 9 to 9:30 p.m. I'm going to do this. From 10 to 10:30 I'm going to do this. Okay, so every single day have that time slot, whether it's 10 minutes or 20 or 30 or an hour, however much time you can dedicate to this business, have that, allocated, have that time slot that that your family knows, that your friends know, that no one's going to bother you during this time, and you're going to work on this business every single day. This is how much you do. Okay, that's better than choosing one day and, dedicating a few hours on that one day. It's better to have an eye on your business every single day and be consistent with your action. Okay, another question I wanted to address, and this is a very common question, especially those of you who have been, looking into this business for a while or following, what's been happening with this business model, and that is that, is this market, is Amazon, the marketplace, getting too saturated, or is e-commerce getting too saturated? And the answer, plain and simple, in my opinion, is no, not at all. Amazon, specifically as a marketplace, is growing at a faster rate than the number of sellers coming in, right? So if you look at the statistics, Amazon is growing at an exponential rate, and that's definitely faster than the number of sellers coming in and selling on Amazon. Next is that people are rapidly shifting from buying retail to buying online. So there are still massive, massive amounts of people that still buy retail. Okay, but the thing is that they're rapidly shifting to buying online because the barriers to entry or the barriers to buying online that were once there, such as waiting, having to wait, several days for you to actually receive your product, all of those are being shattered by Amazon. Okay, you can literally get your product the same day with Amazon Prime now or the next day with Amazon Prime, 1 day or 2 day shipping, right? It's just amazing what they've done and how they've been able to really compete with retail. While Amazon is an online retailer, now they're competing with all of these major, on-site, brick and mortar retailers. The next thing is that there are 3 billion people. An additional 50% of the world's population is coming online in the next 3 to 4 years. So there are people that are, high up in the technological industry. There's a network of individuals and experts in the industry who, according to their knowledge of the technological advancements coming out in the next 3 to 4 years, they believe that an additional 50% of the world's population, which is about 3 billion people, will be coming online. Currently, only about 25% of the world's population has easy access to the internet. Okay, and that may be a little bit hard to believe, but that's the reality, right? Just because many of us live in countries and in, environments where the internet is a luxury, it's kind of a day-to-day thing for us. We take it for granted. There are billions of people in the world who don't have that luxury like we do, okay? And specifically, 75% of people don't have that luxury still. So in the next 3 to 4 years, an additional 50% is coming online. So for someone who says that, this market is getting too saturated, e-commerce, there's too many people selling, there's too much competition, I completely disagree with that based on everything I've mentioned thus far. And again, this is the best time to begin this business because of all of these statistics, because of all of these facts that you're looking at. Next, some motivation. So the title of this lesson was mindset and motivation. So we covered the mindset part, and now let's get into motivation very briefly, just to remind you of the opportunity that you have and to motivate you to really take action now and today. Okay, so again, on the screen, you see that, you see Amazon's revenue statistics for the past 5 or so years. So in 2010, they were at 34 billion, and then by the time 2014 came around, they were almost at $90 billion in revenue. And this year in 2015, they are expected to surpass $100 billion in revenue. Okay, so just think about how large those numbers are. Think about how quickly Amazon is growing and has been growing over the past few years. And in my opinion, this is not going to stop. It's going to continue. Amazon is going to continue growing as a marketplace. Again, some of the results that people have had with this business, it's all over the place. You can see people have made 5K a month in revenue to 10 to 30 to 50 to 100 or even above that. Okay, so there is potential. That's the point I'm trying to make with this slide, is that there's a lot of potential here. People within a matter of months have gotten to 10, 15, 20, 30K a month in revenue very easily. And especially because right now the holidays are coming up. If you're watching this video and the holidays are arriving, then your main goal should be to get your product up as quickly as possible so that you can use that as a boost really when you're starting your business. And there's no better time, honestly, than right now, as the holidays approach, to get that boost to really kickstart your business. And that brings me to the 6-week quick start strategy. And I actually covered this quick start strategy in the welcome video. So if you want to check this strategy out in detail that I put together, then go ahead and go back to the welcome video, listen, you watch it and check it out. Basically, my mission currently with all of the new students in this course is to get your product up on Amazon and start selling by early to mid December. Okay, so I've put together a very detailed step-by-step 6-week quick start strategy that can enable you to be able to do that, to get your product up on Amazon by early to mid December. So go ahead and check that out, and that should be also some motivation for you. The plan is there, the vision, the goals are there. What you need to do every single week and how much time you need to dedicate is there. All you need to do is follow those steps, follow the strategy, and hopefully you should be able to achieve those goals at the end of those 6 weeks. So this was the end of Module 1. We covered in lesson 1.1 the overview of the Amazon business, and we covered in this lesson 1.2 mindset and motivation. Now let's move on to module number 2.